Everybody, let's talk about the quarter wavelength transformer. So in a couple of the previous videos, we talked about two important things. The first thing we talked about was what happens at a junction between two transmission lines of differing characteristic impedance. We also talked about this idea of here is a load plus some transmission line length away from the load, which created some equivalent input impedance here. So let's call that Z in. So this particular arrangement, you can do some interesting things if you set up your parameters correctly. So the way it works is, first things first, I'm just going to solve for this equivalent input impedance seen looking down this little length of transmission line to this real load here, R sub L. So you remember there's a very straightforward algebraic expression for that, and it was Z1 times, you get an R sub L plus J Z1 times the tangent of beta L divided by Z1 plus J R sub L tangent of beta L. I'm going to call this beta 1 just to kind of emphasize that it's in this little piece of transmission line here. All right, and that was just the transmission impedance or transmission line impedance equation that we derived in another video. And it's big and it's nasty, but some special things happen if you choose this L to be just the right value. So I'm going to set L equal to lambda over 4. So why would I do that? Well, the answer is simply just calculate beta 1 L. And I guess we'll say lambda 1 because there's a wavelength associated with the frequency in this particular transmission line here. So I'm going to get 2 pi over lambda 1 times lambda 1 over 4 is equal to pi over 2. So why is that special? Well, the tangent of, the tangent of pi over 2, I guess you technically say the limit as that thing approaches pi over 2, it will approach infinity like that. So that is very interesting. So this little fraction here is now going to blow up to infinity, these two terms, and they're going to dominate whatever is over on the left. So what happens then is these terms kind of factor out. This disappears because it becomes insignificant. And you take the limit, and what you'll find is that essentially Z in approaches, and that limit, you'll get a Z1 squared divided by R sub L. So very straightforward. Just take the limit of this expression as this tangent term blows up to infinity, and this is what comes out over here. So why is that interesting? Well, it's interesting because this particular piece of transmission line here, this Z sub 1, I, in principle, can have control over whatever that thing is. Okay, and so for example, if I have two parallel wires, I could open them or shrink them in. If I had coaxial cable, I could play with the dielectric constant or the dimensions of the wires. Or if it's a microstrip line, you could again either fatten it or thinnen it to adjust this value here. So there are situations where you might have actual control over this value. So I can set it to anything I want. So let's solve for Z1 here, and you find that Z1 is equal to the square root. Oops, excuse me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a particular value here for Z1. That's what I meant. So let's suppose hypothetically I set Z1 equal to the square root of RL times Z sub 0. Just hypothetically, I fine-tune my transmission line to impose this condition. What happens to my input impedance? Well, then I will get Z in is equal to, we'll square that, R sub L times Z naught over RL, and I get Z naught. So in other words, the equivalent input impedance into this quarter wavelength thing with this load is matched to my original transmission line. So what that means is, if there's a match, that means gamma is equal to 0. No reflections. There will just be a net flow of energy going down this transmission line and dumping into the load. No reflections at all. So this is called the quarter wavelength transformer because it acts as if it's transformed the impedance of this load to match the impedance of my incident transmission line. So in principle, you can do this to any wide range of values. This could hypothetically be something like 50 ohms over here, which is common. And this could be something like 100 ohms over here. And I just set up my parameters in here to match the square root of their product. And so you'll get something on the scale around 75-ish, whatever that square root of that product is. And again, you get this match. So no reflection. So that's interesting from a mathematical perspective. But then the question is, what's physically happening here? Why should that happen? And so I'm going to put up a simple simulation of this effect. And what you'll see, so let's just draw this out a little bit more exaggerated. We'll do something like the following. So here is my Z naught. So this is just kind of coming in from infinity. Then I'll have my quarter wavelength section here, called as Z1. And then there will be my load resistor, RL, like so. So physically, imagine what's happening as this thing gets excited. So I'll have an incident wave doing this, and it's going to encounter this junction. So immediately what will happen is there will be a transmission and a reflection at that junction. So this guy here now is going to go down, strike the load, and then bounce back again. At which point it's going to strike this boundary again, and then there'll be a slight transmission with another reflection, which then goes back and strikes this and reflects, and you get another reflection or a transmission and reflection in here, so on to infinity, and another so on infinity of all these guys here. So you notice I have this initial reflection plus all these little secondary bouncing back and forth reflections. And you can go through the algebra and you'll find that all of these secondary reflections here will perfectly destructively interfere with this initial reflection. So all of these essentially add up to be the negation of this guy here. And it should kind of make sense intuitively, because what's happening is you ask how much phase is accumulated by going down and back again. Well, it's a quarter wavelength plus another quarter wavelength. So that's 1/2 wavelength to go down and back, which would imply a total beta L equals pi. So 1/2 wavelength, which means the transmitted wave here has a negative sign on it from what it originally had going in. So what happens, you get this infinite series where all of these guys just add up forever and ever and ever, and they all perfectly negate this initial reflection. And you get this weird just effect where there's all this energy coming in, and there's an initial little transient as all this stuff adds up, but you just get this general flow of energy eventually after all the dust settles just going into the load. So look for the demo of that. I will put that up on a link. And what's also interesting is this doesn't even have to be lambda over 4. It pretty much any odd multiple of a quarter wavelength will work. So if I did say a 3 lambda over 4 or a 5 lambda over 4, the same sort of thing happens because it just accumulates the same amount of phase. So that's pretty cool. It's a very simple device. It gives you absolutely perfect matching with a relatively wide bandwidth too. It's pretty neat. And this will be your lab as well. The only caveat is this load here has to be real. If it becomes imaginary, then things get a little more complicated. But otherwise, that's it. That's pretty nifty. And that is the quarter wavelength transformer in a nutshell.